This is the Business Corner with Sandrine Rattan on Power 102. 30 minutes of news, analysis and discussions about finance, entrepreneurship and work. In association with the CARIRI Business Hatchery and First Citizens, we put you first.
Good afternoon, listeners, and welcome to today's edition of the Business Corner. I am your host, Sandrine Rattan. Today is Monday, 17th July 2017, and as per usual, I must start by extending special thanks to our sponsors, First Citizens and the CARIRI Business Hatchery for supporting this important initiative. Starting with our news that are trending for today, the meeting between Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and Opposition Leader Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar is scheduled for tomorrow, July 18th, 2017. Notably absent from the agenda are issues relating to jobs and the economy, which according to the Opposition Leader are critical to the meeting. Yesterday, Venezuelans residing in TNT joined with thousands of their counterparts in Venezuela in a symbolic rejection of embattled President Nicolas Maduro's plans to rewrite the country's constitution. In May of this year, Maduro issued a decree for writing a new constitution, which has led to a political crisis that has drawn hundreds of thousands of anti-government protesters in the streets of Caracas over the last 100 days. The Ministry of Planning and Development is finalizing an indicator that will seek to achieve carbon reduction targets. Finalization of this indicator may see the ministry again becoming eligible for EU funding for climate change and sustainability projects. There is still no deadline for homeowners to submit valuation return forms at valuation division offices, even though the implementation of the property tax law remains tied up in the courts. Minister in the Ministry of Finance Alison West also announced that residential property owners can continue to submit their property tax forms and there would be no sanctions. Further afield, in the United Kingdom, according to a BBC report, a government review of the rapidly changing world of work is to demand a radical overhaul of employment law and new guarantees on the minimum wage. The review is set to call for a new category of worker called a dependent contractor. Very interesting. Those workers likely to cover riders for firms like Deliveroo and Uber should receive benefits such as sick pay and holiday leave. They will also be covered by some of the minimum wage requirements, and that is in the United Kingdom. And of course, we here at Power 102 FM and the Business Corner will continue to follow these stories and provide more updates to your listeners as time progresses. Moving along to our first segment of the program, we will be looking at the film industry here in Trinidad and Tobago, which I am following, and to me they are making some tremendous strides. And to help us analyze and put their work in context is Miss Nika Luke, who is the General Manager of the Trinidad and Tobago Film Company, who I'm very proud of. Nika, a warm welcome to the Business Corner.
Thank you, Sandrine. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Nika, as I indicated in my preamble, the film industry rather, is making some tremendous strides in terms of work. I also recognize that you all are, forming some international alliances to strengthen and empower the industry. Yeah? So if you could start by sharing with our listeners what is happening in that regard.
Okay, so what I will do first also is kind of just put Film TT's role into context.
Yes.
Which I think is important to do. Film TT is a state agency that's responsible for developing the film and audiovisual sector in Trinidad and Tobago. And when I say film and audiovisual, I also include animation in that, which, as you know, is also a burgeoning field here in the country. Yes. We are part of a larger umbrella organization called Creative TT, which is playing that role for the creative sectors, and Creative TT is responsible for film, fashion, and music. So there's one of me for music and for fashion, and yes, we are looking at how we can develop these sectors in an economically viable and sustainable way. In terms of the work that Film TT has been doing to develop the sector, I would say that film and audiovisual work in the country, there's about a 10-year a period of time where there's been an attempt to develop a formal industry. So we're not starting from scratch. There's absolutely a foundation that's been set by the predecessor company, which was TTFC, and by all the people in the sector who have been doing their part, who've been developing businesses, who've been making films and television productions and so on. What we recognize at this point, in this year, we're able to kind of take stock of what has been done and make a plan for how we go forward. And we're recognizing that even though there is a foundation, there are certainly gaps in that foundation. And the plans that we are putting in place from this year are intended to address the gaps that exist in the, if you call it, the value chain, and ensure that Trinidad and Tobago is well placed to not only develop more indigenous content and become known for that, but also to become a location of choice for productions that want to come here and shoot. We're looking at both equally.
Nika, now you know that our economy is in decline and we are looking towards sectors such as the creative industries, manufacturing, agriculture, and so to help us along to increase our GDP. What kind of inroads would you say FilmTT has made in terms of that, making that dent? I know it's maybe it's a long road to travel, but certainly, the inroads, if we could talk about that.
Yes, I would say, and I'm going to reference a meeting that we held last Monday with some of our stakeholders. The first time we've had a meeting with stakeholders in about 2 years, and we did talk about the fact that we are in this year taking the opportunity to assess what we have done and where we have what not only what we have done, but what has actually happened in the sector. And at this point in time, we can say from what I would say is it's difficult to quantify right now exactly what that figure is, but we are working on figuring out exactly what we have done. That's the whole kind of point of being in a transition. We know that we have hosted about 270 productions in Trinidad and Tobago in the last 10 years. That has contributed to GDP, not only from the productions coming here to shoot, but also because of the hiring of different services. As you may understand, to produce film or to produce any kind of visual work within that film sector, it actually requires a lot of different inputs. So catering, transportation, hotel, all of those different services also help to get a film made, and by extension, they also benefit from the presence of film production here. So we're looking at this as a holistic sector, and not only the fact that productions will get made, but also other services will be supported. Other services will get business out of films shooting here and also coming here to shoot. We do know that, as you mentioned, the creative and our economy just primarily based on oil and gas. We are being affected by the global trends. But at the same time, the creative sector internationally is a multi-billion-dollar industry that is actually on the rise, interestingly enough, compared to other more traditional sectors. So we definitely see the potential for what we have the ability to do here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Nika, let's talk about the entrepreneurial interests that are coming to the film industry. If you want to quantify by age, let's say 18 to 35, the kind of entrepreneurs that are seeking to become part of what you all are doing, how would you respond to that?
I would say I'm not sure that I necessarily see an age bracket when it comes to this kind of work. I think we see people of all ages engaging in this kind of work in Trinidad and Tobago. And there's also, it's interestingly, internationally, there is a focus on, more women in film. There needs to be more women in film, or representation for women in film. I'm not sure that that's necessarily even an issue for us here, because across the board, people who are interested in this work are trying to make work. There's a lot of potential for the sector, a lot of potential for more people to get involved. I don't think it's not necessarily an age thing. I think there are people who are interested in doing it and they're getting involved. From the point of view of younger people, we have a number of tertiary level education institutions that are offering film, audiovisual, and animation courses. And they are turning out people who are so that's the formal training side of things. So COSTAT now has a program that's been running for about a year. UE, of course, has a Bachelor of Arts program in film that's been running since about 2007. SBCS has programs, and a number of people are also offering short courses. UTT has an animation program that's
Yes.
been quite successful, and they are bringing a new digital arts program on stream in the near future. So from a tertiary level perspective, there is some basis for the formal education of people in film. But people are coming to this field from all different sides of it. People who have, carpentry experience or electrician experience, all of those different kinds of activities are required on film sets. So you're going to see people who are involved in the sector that's not necessarily age driven,
Yes,
but it's more
yes.
skills driven and more interest driven.
Let's talk about the Film Commission, because I know you said that some work is happening there.
Yes. So in terms of Film TT, and this is the difference between Film TT and my counterparts in music and fashion.
Yes.
Film TT is responsible for driving the development of the sector, but we are also responsible for running the Film Commission, which is the side of our work that is essentially service driven.
Yes.
So that is the side of the work, and that the Film Commission is a common agency in most countries that are serious about managing their film assets. The Film Commission provides a level of service to productions that are shooting here in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as productions that are coming in. We are also responsible for promoting Trinidad and Tobago as a location in the region and internationally. And one of the main sort of tentpole unique selling points for us right now is our production rebate expenditure program, which has been on our books for a number of years. We are at the point where we are actively looking at improving the program itself. The program itself is actually mandated by Cabinet, or approved by Cabinet.
Yes.
And we are looking actively, because there have been some issues with the rebate, so we're actively looking right now at how we can improve the rebate program so it works for everyone. But it's a cashback rebate program, which is very unusual internationally. Most countries and cities offer tax credits. And what that simply means is that when a production is looking to shoot a film or television series here, we can offer them a facility whereby they will get 35% cash back on qualifying services of money that they spend in country, and an additional 20% for hiring local labor. And that applies to producers who are from Trinidad and Tobago as well as from outside Trinidad and Tobago, and that makes us very competitive.
Okay. Nika, there is a view or perception, whether it's true or not, that is to be argued, that there is a paucity of local content in terms of film, television and film. And I know there is some pipeline work. I see Daniel De Fantala advertising, doing some advertising of some of the work that is to come. But how do you see Film TT kind of filling that gap?
So,
because I think there is a cry for more local content.
yes, and I would say that in terms of Film TT's role, we are looking at, as I mentioned earlier, that whole idea of the pipeline or the value chain in terms of the production of content, actually from idea, from the time you have an idea for a production to the point at which that production happens post-production, it's sold, and it starts to bring money back into the production company. We are looking at the entire value chain. And whereas there is a foundation, as I mentioned before, that was laid by my predecessor in terms of certain things being in place, there are some gaps that have not been filled.
Yes.
One of them being financing. And when I say financing, I mean multiple sources of financing for productions. Film TT has become the primary source of funding for productions, but that's not a sustainable model.
Yes.
Because as happened in the last couple of years when we've not been able to put money into films, you saw a slowdown. And that's not a sustainable model, and nobody wins with a model like that. So what we are looking at doing is, apart from reinstating or making the case to reinstate some sort of financing, because there is a role for government financing in films,
Yes.
in terms of using it as a development tool, not only to ensure that there's some starting funds, but also to ensure that the more productions that come out of Trinidad and Tobago, the more we are positioned as a country that's serious about film. Apart from that, there's also the other piece, which is to
What you do? in terms of what the local content?
Yes, in terms of the local content. The other piece of that is to ensure that the productions that are coming in actually have or understand that they're able to find certain services here. So both pieces are actually important going hand in hand.
Let me ask you, I started the conversation talking about the collaborations that you all are forming, the international collaborations. Do you have, Nika, within that international pot, any of those stakeholders who would be interested in supporting your initiatives financially? I know capacity building is also part of that whole stakeholder thrust.
Yes. So in terms of international collaborations, and that's something that will take some time, but I've been in this role now for about 10 months, and one of the important things that I think coming to the table with is an international network that we can leverage in terms of the understanding that Trinidad and Tobago is part of a international film and audiovisual industry. We are looking at making content here for our local audiences, and that is absolutely critical. But there's also a place for us to be a part of a bigger picture, and that actually helps to serve the local industry as well, even as we develop our international connections. So we are looking at festivals, we're looking at distribution companies, sales companies, we're looking at different markets that we can try to get more producers into, but it has to be done in a really strategic way.
Of course.
And I would say all of that effort is being channeled through the development of a strategic plan, which we are actively engaged in doing right now. We're in the research phase of that project, and the intention is by the end of this year, December 2017, we will have a plan that we can launch, and this will be our roadmap to determine how best to strategically go about filling all of these gaps that I mentioned in terms of the value chain, and even how we continue to, because it's not just about going to the everybody that's out there. We also have to be very clear about what does Trinidad and Tobago have to offer, and where do we find our audiences, what's the best countries and cities that are for us. Is there an audience for us in India? Is there an audience for us in Scandinavia? But we have to actually do the groundwork to figure out the answer, so that when we do go out and start to tap into that international network, we are focused and we are very clear on what the return on that investment is going to be.
No, Nika, I work with entrepreneurs 18 to 35, and I know a large percentage of them have an interest in the creative industries, in particular film. Well, the music and fashion, that piece, we're taking care of that, but in terms of film, how do I sell it to them, the interest, in terms of being part of the experience? I know there is the education piece, but that live experience, and I know you're having a stakeholder meeting, so I just feel like I'm just wondering. So
we had a stakeholder meeting last Monday, July 10, where we were able to talk to our stakeholders directly about what's happening this year and how we plan to go forward. So we talked a lot about strategic plan and so on. In terms of how to get into film, that is a question that we're often asked, and I don't think we necessarily have the full answer. Actually, to me, the answer is tied up in what's the plan for developing the sector? Because right now people come to film and audiovisual and animation in various ways. There are people, for example, there are productions, a production is taking place, somebody knows somebody who's a good carpenter, as I mentioned before, they pull them in production, then that person continues to work on productions because they like it. So there are different ways to get in. One of the things that I would like us, or that is part of sort of the vision for what a fully functioning and healthy sector should be, is that there are various ways, no matter where you are in the process, there are various ways that you can get in. So for example, as a 11, 12-year-old, if you realize that you like film, there should be some kind of national camp that you can go to on an annual basis during the vacation, that you can learn all these different things. That's just one way in. There might be, of course, we talked about the production, the production courses that are available at the universities. Another example would be, there's a production directory that Film TT manages, which is essentially an online space for all the people who are working professionally in the sector to put up their information, and we manage that database, and we also will use it once it's populated to sell the service of Trinidad and Tobago to productions that want to come and shoot here. But we also have an internship section. So if you want to learn how to, work on a set, you have the opportunity through that production directory to list your information, and you might be selected as an intern. Down the road, I want to ensure that there are multiple ways. When people ask me that question, I have more answers. But ultimately, right now, apart from the university, the internship section on our production directory, I think is a good place to start in terms of putting up your information if you want to learn how to work on a film set.
Nika, what I will want to do, I'll talk to you offline, and we will have to organize a sensitization session.
Of course.
Because young persons within that catchment, they prefer to connect.
Yes.
You tell them go and navigate,
yes.
but they prefer that so they can ask more questions.
And also working on a film set, that experience actually does count for a lot. It's people who, in this sort of bigger picture, people who are able to get more work and keep working consistently are the ones with the most experience.
Yes.
So it's a combination of the formal training and the experience does also count for quite a lot. So I understand that as well.
So Nika, we have so much more to talk about, but my producer is giving me the wrap-up sign.
I realize.
Because we have some other segments to fill in the program. But it was indeed a pleasure having you on the Business Corner. As I said, we will talk offline and arrange something deeper.
Thanks for having me, Sandrine.
You're most welcome. That was Nika Luke, General Manager of Film TT, sharing with us some useful insights in terms of the work being done by the organization. Stay with us. We take a short break. Now another in our regular series of tips and advice for budding entrepreneurs on how to proceed to succeed, courtesy the CARIRI Business Hatchery. Here's our feature.
This episode is on the importance of identifying your target market. One of the key areas in marketing is identifying the target market for your product or service and understanding their needs and buying habits. Many businesses underperform because entrepreneurs do not focus on their target market. When you identify your target market or the people who are most likely to buy your product, the next step is to determine what are they looking for in your product or service, such as features, quality, packaging, service, and warranty. What price they are willing to pay. The distribution channel through which they prefer to obtain your product, such as retail stores, home delivery, or online sales, and the appropriate ways to reach them by advertising, such as through social media, newspapers, and word of mouth. The information gathered from market research helps entrepreneurs to better define their target market and develop tactics to win customers. For more information on CARIRI's Business Hatchery program, visit our website at www.cariri.com or call 299-0209, extension 2661.
Okay, more tips for those with ideas for a startup next week, courtesy the CARIRI Business Hatchery. That was our feature for today. Moving to our next segment of the program, we will be speaking to Mr. Gabriel Faria, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, who will share with us some more information on a new platform that was launched for entrepreneurs. Mr. Faria, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Mr. Faria, I know I pulled you out of a meeting, but sorry about that, and thanks for joining us.
No problem at all.
Yes. Mr. Faria, when I saw this headline, TNT Chamber launches platform to support entrepreneurs, I started jumping to touch the ceiling because I said, wow, TNT Chamber is on point. But just share with our listeners more on this platform and what are some of the benefits that entrepreneurs can obtain from being part of that experience.
All right. So what we found, and I joined the chamber probably 8 months ago, and what we realized as business is that growth for this economy had to come from the next wave of business.
Yes.
And we called a meeting with some of the key business leaders, some of the largest conglomerates, some of the largest banks and so on, and discussed with them how we could mobilize capital and competency to support that next wave. And to be very honest with you, many of these businesses recognize that the only way they can have customers is by investing in the future. So, for example, if you sell computers, you sell cars, you sell technology, you sell internet services.
Yes.
Supporting the next wave of business guarantees you a customer for the future. So we have all gotten commitment from a number of private sector institutions, as well as people like myself who have retired and have decided to contribute somewhat to the economy, that we are going to create a framework that will allow the next wave of businesses to provide them with the support. In fact, you pulled me out of a meeting, and that meeting really was with people from the IDB and the Ministry of Planning, where we're discussing how we can now leverage the power of subject matter experts in the diaspora internationally to provide mentorship to some of these local entrepreneurs.
No, Mr. Faria, this platform fits snugly with the entrepreneurial ecosystem, which, you know, we keep strengthening through initiatives like these. And we have Global Entrepreneurship Week coming up in November, and I will definitely be chatting with you offline to include the chamber into this commemoration. Now, Global Entrepreneurship Week is celebrated in over 160 countries across the world, where we look at investors, entrepreneurs, and so to really strengthen and tighten that ecosystem. But, you know, one of the things I've found as, you know, working with young entrepreneurs is that we have different agencies, more so in the private sector and civil society groups and so, who support entrepreneurial work, but yet there is still a gap in terms of entrepreneurs knowing where to go for what.
Right.
So, and we're trying to bridge that gap, so to make it sort of a one-stop shop. But how do you see this platform helping that?
Okay, very good point. Now, just to be clear, there are many organizations that may be duplicating services.
Mm-hmm.
However, we actually see ourselves as someone in the chain taking the baton from the incubators, because we think the incubators, the CARIRI incubator, the NETCO, the Arthur Lockjack incubators, all of these incubators provide a valuable service. However, you can't stay in an incubator all your life. You have to come out.
Yes.
You have to go into the public domain. So what we are seeing is we are seeing ourselves working with the incubators, and in fact, some of the training programs, in fact, all our training programs are offered free to any member, anybody who is a member of our incubator program.
Mm-hmm.
Will get access to chamber benefits. We charge $50 a year. Our membership fee will be thousands of dollars.
Yes.
But we charge them what basically the small programs will charge, which is $50 just to say, okay, there's a charge, and we will get, be it health services or any of those plans that we provide, along with access to all the training that we normally charge for free.
Oh.
But what really we want to do is provide an angel investing framework. We really want to be able to take some of these businesses, create a certain level of subject matter skills for them,
yes.
be it in finance, governance, logistics, whatever those subject matter skills are, so that they can become stronger. And once, what the banks have told us is that once they feel that a small business has gotten 2 or 3 people who are willing to invest in the business, they also feel more comfortable providing financing. Because it means these people have not only gotten money, but they have also gotten competency and capability.
Yeah, no, Mr. Faria, I'm heartened to hear you speaking about angel investing, because many entrepreneurs, sole traders, partnerships, limited liability companies are not too akura, for want of a better word, with angel investing. So I'm heartened to hear that will be part of what you're planning to do. But how would you all go about selling this whole concept of angel investing, which is close to like which is kind of aligned or likened to like crowdfunding and venture capital. I know we had venture capital once in the country. It's working somewhat in Tobago at the Tobago House of Assembly, but I think there's a slowdown here in terms of venture capital. But how do you propose to sell that to entrepreneurs?
Right. Well, the first thing is you have to sell it. You have to first get the angel investors themselves. And what's an angel investor? An angel investor is someone who has two things.
Yes.
They have some capital and they have some capacity. They have capabilities in some sort of subject matter area.
Right.
And they have capital and they're willing to contribute. They're willing to add value to a business in terms of providing mentorship and guidance in specific areas.
Okay.
So the easy part is actually to identify the angel investor.
Yes.
The harder part is to match them with the entrepreneur and to also ensure that the entrepreneur understands what an angel investor needs. Because an idea alone is not, many of us are not technologically inclined, so someone may have a great technological idea.
Yes.
But we need to make sure that idea is bankable and has potential.
Yes.
So it's really to bring along the subject matter experts, allow the entrepreneurs to understand the framework an angel investor needs to be able to make the decision to invest, and then put these together, create an environment that allow these entrepreneurs to access the training in either human resources, logistics, finance, whatever they are, governance, so that we can nurture them to a stage where they can become fully operational in a commercial environment.
Now, Mr. Faria, entrepreneurship to me, working in it for years, is best executed or is best implemented with stakeholders and partners, right?
Right.
How does the chamber propose to include partners to strengthen the capacity of this entrepreneurial portal or platform, as you may want to describe it?
So the benefit I think the chamber brings to this and the benefit it does is that it's a not-for-profit organization. So the first thing to be clear is the chamber has no ulterior motive in terms of it taking a share of profit.
Okay.
Our success lies in the success of a business ecosystem.
Yes.
And we are partnering with the incubators, we are partnering with tertiary level institutions, we are partnering with the private sector, with the public sector
Great.
and the private sector to bring those parties together.
Yes.
So be it the multilateral institutions such as the IDB, such as the World Bank, such as Caribbean Export in Barbados, we are creating a nexus between these different partners to hold the hand of the entrepreneur as they come through the process, through the incubators, and now move them towards the stage of commercialization.
Yes, yes. Mr. Faria, it was indeed a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks for taking time out to be here with us on the Business Corner. And what would you like to leave with our listeners as you launch this brand new initiative which will benefit so many?
I think the most important takeaway is that the chamber sees itself as creating a nexus between businesses of today and businesses of tomorrow. Yeah. And our goal is to create that environment where we can bring together the capacities of both the entrepreneurs and those who are willing to invest in growing the business of tomorrow in Trinidad and Tobago.
Before I let you go, Mr. Faria, are you all looking at specific industries to make this initiative successful, or is it?
Okay, good point. Right now we are not locked into industry-specific areas.
Right.
What, as you know, in Trinidad right now, and I was quite heartened to see the amount of work that's being done in the cocoa industry, right? And there's a group of people that's driving that process forward. So we will not want to duplicate what's being done in that area.
Right.
Now, we may support them in terms of providing capital or in terms of providing some competency building. But in terms of the technical aspects of cocoa development, I'm really heartened to see the amount of work that's done there.
Yes.
We are looking, however, at other areas, and technology is one of them,
yes,
because we have a strong ICT committee on the chamber that's looking at that.
Yes.
And we see that as the ability to earn foreign exchange through the export of services quickly,
Of course.
as opposed to ramping up manufacturing. But there are people who are looking at agro-industry and agro-processing. We're also looking at those areas.
Okay. Mr. Farry, we will indeed continue our conversation offline, and thanks for taking the time to chat with us on the Business Corner.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. That was Mr. Gabriel Farrier, Chief Executive Officer at the TNT Chamber of Industry and Commerce, sharing with us some useful insights on the recently launched entrepreneurial platform. We take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Business Corner. A few weeks ago, we looked at energy from renewable sources. It followed a call by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley for 10% of Trinidad and Tobago's energy to come from such sources by 2021. As to how public and private sector entities fit into this, the Caribbean Industry Research Institute, CARIRI, implemented a sustainable energy program to help improve efficiency and reduce costs, environmental and financial. To explain the rollout of this initiative, we are now joined via the telephone by CARIRI's Sustainable Energy Team lead, Ika Rudder Fehrman, and Soren Draborg, a consultant from the Danish Technology Institute, engaged to advise on ways to address and meet the needs of individual companies. Folks, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Great. What should the listening audience know about energy efficiency?
Okay. First of all, we are the initial target group for us is going to be the small and medium enterprises and also the general public. And what we want people to know in Trinidad is that there is value in energy efficiency, and there are great benefits to be gained by becoming businesses becoming energy efficient.
Okay. Let's talk about how it can be applied. Because I know that is something that the users will want to know about.
Okay, on many different levels. At the level of the business, applying energy efficient measures can assist you in reducing your overall electricity consumption, which can be a savings to your business.
Yes.
There's also the opportunity to increase your productivity with the same electricity consumption that you may have,
yes,
which would allow you to increase your revenue and be a lot more productive. And then there's another aspect of it is on a country scale. In terms of Trinidad and Tobago, you spoke about meeting the 10% renewable energy in power generation by 2021,
yes,
and that is a goal that the government has set. And becoming energy efficient, businesses becoming energy efficient and utilizing utilizing less energy, less electricity, will allow the government to have a lot more power, which can be used in other ways in the chemical industries and that sort of thing. So there are a lot of gains to be had. So what CARIRI has done is we have been looking at how we can assist small medium enterprises in becoming more energy efficient, and we have contracted the Danish Technological Institute to work along with us to teach us how we can help businesses to do that. One of the areas we're exploring is the conduct of energy audits, and in fact we've been doing some training in that area with Mr. Soren Draborg, who is the representative here from the Danish Technical Institute.
Great. Ika and Soren, let's talk about the benefits to a company interested in making a move towards energy efficiency, because I know for a fact that more education and sensitization would be needed, but let's talk about the benefits.
All right, let Soren handle this question, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, the main benefits, Ika already told you this. You can increase your competitiveness. You can become more competitive. Okay, you save money on the bottom line. Money you can invest in future equipment, future energy efficiency.
Okay.
To ensure that your company will be sustainable on a long-term basis.
Now, Ika, I know you spoke earlier about the work that CARIRI is doing to make this happen by 2021. But let's talk specifically now about CARIRI's role, CARIRI's intimate role and involvement in energy efficiency and the target audience that you're looking at. If you could speak some more about that.
Okay, so CARIRI's basic mandate is to give support to industry and help them adopt technologies that would increase their productivity, their competitiveness, new innovations, especially the adoption of using innovation to make these changes. So what CARIRI proposes to do, and it falls in line with our business hatchery program. There are various programs that CARIRI is running. There's an IGAP program, the business hatchery program. All of these are programs that are designed to support industry and give them the tools that they would require in order to have successful businesses, to be innovative businesses, to have creative businesses, to be profitable businesces. So wrapped up in there is energy efficiency. It works along with all these other programs, and it is in the hope that we can in some way contribute to the dialogue that is happening in terms of energy efficiency. The adoption of renewable energy also is included in that. So we'll be looking for some renewable energy projects that we can explore with various stakeholders. So we're also looking to roll out and educate the population about energy efficiency. To be able to provide energy audits that would allow companies to establish what their energy needs are, and also to establish new goals in reducing their current energy uses.
Great. Now this question is for Soren. If 10% of the energy is renewable, how much can a company see the energy bill reduced by? Roughly, approximately, by how much?
No, I don't think the energy bill will be reduced. But you as a country have, better conscience. You'll be more environmental friendly. I think, on the contrary, I think maybe the energy bill will raise a tiny bit because renewables will be more expensive than fossil fuels, just for the time being at least.
Okay, great.
They will not save on the short-term basis.
Okay. Ika, let's talk about the type of support that CARIRI can offer companies in the area of energy efficiency. And maybe you may want to look at capacity building, for example.
All right. In terms of the support that the actual support that we can give, one would be the conduct of the energy audit to assess a company's energy outputs and needs and see how they're measuring up, and also recommendations in terms of where adjustments can be made so you can bring down your electricity usage. We can also give guidance in terms of innovative technologies that could be included in the mix that would allow a company to achieve a more efficient operation. There's also the prospect of adopting suitable, feasible, renewable energy technologies. Soren said not right now, but in the future, because we have to look at right now, companies locally are paying an artificially low rate for electricity, but that is not sustainable in the long term, and it is going to change.
Yes.
And at some point we are going to be facing the true and actual energy prices, and it is then that I think that these measures are going to become very, very important, and it's going to be a significant savings to people.
Great.
So right now it's more educational process and putting small things in place. There are small gains to be had, looking at your lighting, looking at your equipment optimization, looking at your waste streams, looking at your greenhouse gas emissions. Those are things that in the immediate we can address.
Yes.
But only really and truly when tables turn in terms of the energy prices, the cost of energy locally being true of what it should be, only at that point you would really see the savings and the impact that putting these measures in place could have.
But Ikan, sorry, we have more to talk about, and we will call you all offline to set up another discussion. But thanks so much for being on the Business Corner this afternoon. It was indeed a pleasure. And folks, that will do it for us. That will do it for our program this afternoon. Thanks for listening. Until next week, you can catch us at Business Corner 102@gmail.com. You also can catch podcasts of previous episodes or editions of the program via Power 102 FM's Facebook page. Bye for now.
All startups, entrepreneurs and small businesses ready to grow your business? Then the CARIRI Business Hatchery is the program for you. Learn how to target the right market, manage your finances, and develop winning business pitches, and get weekly one-on-one coaching. Call us 299-0209 extension 2661. That's 299-0209 extension 2661. Find us on Facebook, CARIRI Business Incubator, or visit www.cedcariri.com.
Do you take that trip? Buy groceries or pay your bill, dining and shopping and more. That's what a First Citizens card is for.
Do you with First Citizens credit cards. From now until September, get paid to spend on work, play, dining, travel, and life. Earn more bonus points, miles, and cash back. So click, call, or come in today to get your First Citizens credit card. First Citizens, we put you first.
That's what a First Citizens card is for.
The Business Corner, Mondays at 2 p.m. on Power 102. In association with the CARIRI Business Hatchery and First Citizens, we put you first.
This is a Business Corner on Power 102 FM, looking at money, ideas and work in association with the CARIRI Business Hatchery and First Citizens, we put you first. Our next segment, we will be chatting with Mr. Ray Gopal, who is the Manager, Business Development and Analytics at First Citizens, one of our primary sponsors of the Business Corner. Mr. Gopal, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you very much, Sandrine, for having me on the Business Corner.
Great. Ray, could you share, we're talking e-banking and, looking at the pros and cons and so, but Ray, could you share with our listeners the major functions that fall within the remit of electronic banking in terms of First Citizens?
Okay. So the electronic banking unit is responsible for the development and implementation of the suite of electronic products and services at First Citizens. Mm-hmm. So you may know those as debit cards, credit cards, ATM, point-of-sale devices, and more recently the online and mobile banking services and access to your account.
Okay. Now, electronic banking, Ray, is considered to be one of the greatest forms of convenience banking, yet some individuals are skeptical. How has the bank been able to counteract this skepticism in so far, as to ensure maximum use of the facility?
Okay, I think the bank over time adopted a three-pronged approach. Mm-hmm. Customer education, systems designed with best practice, mm-hmm. from a security infrastructure and a user-friendliness infrastructure. And the third one, 24/7 customer help desk. So just to speak a bit about customer education, and it's particularly around the safety of the service. Mm-hmm. For each product or service that we sell to our customers, our CSRs or marketing officers will conduct training with the clients, helping them to understand the security of the overall system.
Yes.
And their role specifically in maintaining that security. So they may have You may have encountered a lot of conversations recently about not sharing PINs, not sharing passwords, phishing scams, and those types of communique is what will characterize that conversation and interaction with the customer.
Good.
In addition, by design, our systems offer a number of easy-to-use interactive tools that allows transaction monitoring and verification. These all occur at the customer level. So, for instance, in your online banking application, you have the ability to review history on the transactions you would have performed for a number of months, mm-hmm. and even export much more than that.
Yes.
In mobile banking, you can set alerts that could trigger a message every time you did a withdrawal or deposit. And that early notification is really important to alleviating the concerns around security risk.
Okay. Ray, issues of misuse of security precautions, and I know you spoke a little bit about that, regarding the banking come up from time to time, and we see all kinds of issues, all kinds of different incidents happening worldwide. How does the bank treat with those issues? Because I know they happen here as well.
Yeah, well, one of the strong value propositions we could bring as well is the level of transaction monitoring that we set up with our systems. So at the back end, what we have is we have each transaction and each customer's behavior being monitored, and from that we are able to determine how those transactions conform with your trend, and where necessary we trigger alerts and or outbound calls to verify the authenticity of the transaction. So from a systemic level, we have that type of system there. But customer re-education is always paramount. We need to keep them informed with respect to the trends, the global trends, and in the spaces that they play, whether it's in the internet space and cyberspace, and what are some of the inherent risks there as well.
Now, Ray, one of the things that I have noted is that you would go into an ATM space, good? But if the two spaces are occupied, the two ATM machines are occupied, the door can still be opened by someone, by an outsider. Yeah, how do...
Well,
as opposed to closing, because remember before you use your card to enter, but now you enter, there's a freedom of entry, and while you're doing the transaction, the door is still open, where we live in a very risky environment. How?
Well, prior to the push button entry for the doors, you had card swipes, and within those card swipes, that also provided some vulnerabilities where it offered an opportunity for someone external to attempt to skim cards at that level.
Yes.
So when the security teams took a look at it, they felt that it was less of a security risk to have that rather than the card readers. So that's why you will have those push button type door entries.
So in other words, Ray, customers now have to exercise extreme vigilance when they enter. So you have to be doing it. I'm just saying, you have to do a transaction, for example, at the Marval Road branch, where I go often. You have to be you in there, but while you're there, you have to be looking. I think it's just more vigilance, I guess.
Yeah.
Because your security personnel, they would have done the risk assessment and due diligence to determine why it is the way it is right now.
Yeah. And I mean, the vigilance hasn't changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, without disclosing too much, Ray, what are some of the upcoming plans First Citizens has in the pipeline to enhance the bank's electronic banking offering?
Well, we'll be launching one of our newest products, mFirst. And mFirst is a mobile point-of-sale solution designed for payment acceptance.
Yes.
It comprises of a mobile app that you could download from Google Play or iTunes onto your smartphone, and that together with a mobile card reader issued by First Citizens would allow you to securely accept both debit and credit cards, whether it's chip or non-chip, anywhere and anytime. So effectively, you use your smartphone to be able to accept payments. This new technology makes credit and debit card acceptance more cost-effective to merchants, especially some of the smaller merchants, right? So you have like barbers, hairdressers, plumbers, upholsterers. Many of those merchants who may not have thought having card acceptance and point-of-sale terminals would have been within the reach. So that's one of the new things you could expect, and probably from as early as this week and next week you could start to see some information, specific information there. Now to apply for the service, you could go to our website or email POS marketing officers or call 621st.
If you could just repeat the website, just
Right? So the website is www.firstcitizenstt.com, or you can email Paul's marketing officers at firstcitizenstt.com, or call 621st, which is 623-4778, option 3.
Ray, now let me ask, in terms of the interest for e-banking, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you all assess that, as opposed to persons coming physically into the bank, because something could be very crowded?
Yeah.
Yeah, so how would you, because if the e-banking facility is there, it's working well, is it a risk that people may not want to?
No, I think a lot of persons, so on a scale of 1 to 5, I would say we into 4 heading to 5. A lot of persons would have been pretty much exposed to one form of electronic banking or the other, and even with the wider family members who might be, let's say, more tech savvy, have been able to help this customer education and move into it. So I think we're in a good place. Providers like TSTT and others are other key enablers. So I think we are at a 4.
Great. Ray Paul, Manager Business Development, Electronic Banking at First Citizens. It was indeed a pleasure having you on the Business Corner, sharing some useful insights on your e-banking facilities for our listeners. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Sandrine.
One of our kind sponsors, our main sponsor of the Business Corner.